The Senate chamber crackled with tension as Senator John Neely Kennedy, the Louisiana Republican, renowned for his folksy Southern charm and incisive legal mind, leaned into his microphone, his steady gaze piercing through the room to lock on to Rachel Maddow at the witness table. In the next 30 seconds, a clash would unfold that would ignite social media, leaving millions buzzing. Had the celebrated MSNBC host just been outmaneuvered by a senator with a drawl? Before we dive into this riveting showdown, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. This is political theater at its rawest, a battle of wits that would elevate one star and shake another's foundation. The anticipation had been brewing for weeks. John Kennedy, a seasoned lawmaker whose blend of homespun anecdotes and courtroom-honed precision had made him a GOP standout, was set to lead a Senate Judiciary Committee hearing on constitutional limits to regulatory power. For years, Kennedy had captivated audiences with his ability to distill complex legal debates into relatable tales, earning him a loyal following, and the nickname the Bayou Barrister. His speeches, peppered with Southern idioms, had swayed voters and inspired op-eds, while his books on federalism were staples in conservative circles. This hearing was meant to be routine, a platform for Kennedy to flex his legal chops, field friendly questions from allies, and deflect predictable jabs from opponents. Across the table sat Rachel Maddow, the progressive media titan, whose razor-sharp commentary dominated cable news. To the casual observer, she was a heavyweight, a Yale Law alum, with a knack for dissecting policy with surgical precision. Her nightly show drew millions, her books topped charts, and her dry wit had long been a weapon against conservative talking points. Yet whispers among legal insiders noted her courtroom days were distant, her expertise now more performative than practiced. The hearing promised a straightforward script. Maddow would testify on administrative law breeze, through Democratic softballs, parry Republican barbs, and leave with clips for her next broadcast. But as she adjusted her notes and met Kennedy's unflinching stare, the room sensed a storm brewing. C-SPAN cameras whirred, and Kennedy vs. Maddow began trending before the first question. To understand the stakes, consider the players. Rachel Maddow was no mere pundit. She was a cultural force. Her Rhodes Scholar pedigree, federal clerkship, and bestsellers like Drift cemented her as the liberal intelligentsia's champion. Nightly, she dissected GOP policies with a blend of gravitas and sarcasm, often mocking what she called folksy frauds, who leaned on charm over substance. Her fans revered her as a truth-teller, hanging on her every word when she framed legal debates as morality plays. When Maddow spoke, progressives listened, convinced her analysis cut through conservative noise. John Kennedy, however, was no ordinary senator. A veteran of Louisiana's legal trenches, he'd spent years as a practicing attorney navigating high-stakes cases where a single misstep could cost dearly. His Oxford education and LSU law degree were impressive, but it was his real-world experience arguing motions, drafting appeals, facing judges that shaped his edge. Unbeknownst to Maddow, Kennedy's team had studied her playbook, every segment where she'd scoffed at Southern politicians, every quip about backwoods rhetoric, every claim to legal authority without recent practice. They'd pinpointed her weakness, a confidence that her polished delivery could outshine gritty expertise. This wasn't just a hearing. It was a referendum on who could claim mastery over America's legal discourse. Could a media star armed with credentials and charisma hold her own against a senator whose folksy veneer masked a steel-trap mind? Was airtime expertise enough when pitted against courtroom scars? For Maddow, this was a chance to cement her status as a legal sage, framing conservative senators as out-of-touch relics. For Kennedy, it was an opportunity to prove that substance, not style, defined true authority, and to turn Maddow's own arrogance against her. The room buzzed with onlookers. Cable news crews angled for shots expecting Maddow to deliver sound bites for the evening cycle. Progressive reporters anticipated a rout. Conservative outlets hoped Kennedy's wit would steal the show. Behind Kennedy, a single aide with a notepad. Behind Maddow, a team of producers' tablets glowing with prepped responses. The early questions followed script. Maddow expounded on regulatory frameworks, quoting scholars with practiced ease. Democrats tossed gentle queries, letting her shine. Kennedy listened, his pen tapping softly, a faint smile playing on his lips, like a fisherman waiting for the bite. Then his moment arrived. Ms. Maddow Kennedy began his Louisiana drawl, rolling out like molasses. "You've made quite a name for yourself, tellin' folks how the law ought to work. Been real vocal about how some of us senators, myself included, I reckon turn these hearings into something akin to a comedy show with our down-home talk. Now, I ain't one to fuss over a little ribbon, but I'm curious, when's the last time you stood in a courtroom making a case where someone's livelihood hung on your words?" The chamber stilled. Maddow's smile tightened, her eyes narrowing slightly as she leaned forward. "Senator Kennedy, with all due respect to your colorful style, I'd say your penchant for folksy one-liners makes this chamber feel more like a stand-up routine than a serious legal forum. As for my work, I've analyzed more constitutional issues on air than most attorneys tackle in a decade of small-town practice." A chuckle rippled from the Democratic side, but Kennedy's grin didn't waver. He leaned back, folding his arms. "Well, ma'am, I'll grant you the stage is yours come 9 o'clock on MSNBC.